It's Monday, February 6th, 2023, and this is episode 276 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. I'm Mark Duvall.
And I'm Dr. Mike.
Well, first off, I want to apologize to listeners who may have been listening to our last episode, and after about 30 minutes, it just suddenly stopped. The problem has been fixed. I still don't know what the root cause was. The file was fine on my side, but unfortunately, the one that was uploaded to the server just was about 15 minutes, 20 minutes short. So again, the problem's been fixed. However, you may need to reload the episode. So depending on what podcast app you're using, it might have been reloaded automatically. You might have to manually do it. But in any case, if you still are only getting about that 30-minute version, you'll need to reload. Now, if for some reason you absolutely can't get our full episode, you can always listen to it by going to our website, youcanbetonThat.com, and just listening to it directly there. Also, on our YouTube channel, we don't really talk about YouTube very much, but all of our episodes get uploaded to YouTube, and I verified that it's the full-length version that's on YouTube right now. So there you go. Sorry about that. I'd hate for listeners to have missed out on our scintillating conversation about tipping, because that's most of what was lost. So,
well, you don't think that's maybe the gambling gods sending us a sign, Mark?
Could have been. Yeah, could have been a signal. Yeah,
could have been
sure.
a signal. Stop this nonsense.
Yeah. But like I said, I don't know what caused it.
I do.
Oh, what's that?
Adam Bauer.
Oh, God, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's Adam.
I was bad-mouthing him. You know, he was on Tim. They did like a live stream with Tim Lawson. It was Adam and Vinny Chens and Vito. The episode was basically, hey, what's your guys' problems? You know? When's the last time any of them have released an episode? And
Vito was funny.
I chimed in a couple times, so you're probably right. Even though that actually happened after our problem. So, but it still could be Adam. You're right.
He works in mysterious ways.
All right, well, on with the episode. So, Aruze Gaming, Aruze, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, Aruze is the company that builds and distributes shoot-to-win and roll-to-win craps machines. So that's why I thought we'd talk about it on this episode. When I first heard that they'd filed for bankruptcy, I thought, I wonder if it has anything to do with these roll-to-win machines. Because, you know, they looked like it was going to be revolutionary, and then casinos started returning them because people were cheating on them, sliding dice, in cahoots with the dealers that, you know, enter in the rolls.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, gosh, that must have been expensive to create, to engineer, and to build, right? You've seen these things. They're huge. They're all integrated. So I'm thinking, maybe that was why. Probably not. Let me read to you what it says in some of these articles. This action is a part of Aruze's efforts to seek financial restructuring in the wake of a recent garnishment judgment against Aruze, resulting from a separate judgment against Aruze's shareholder. So whatever, legal ease, and there were some lawsuits, and so it's probably more related to that. But they're filing for Chapter 11 basically so they don't have to pay, you know, the people they owe right away, and we'll see what happens with that. We don't know the real reason why or you know, what is ultimately going to happen, or if shoot-to-win machines and roll-to-win machines, and there's slot machines, you know, they do slot machines. They're the ones that created that new claw machine. I don't know if people have seen that, right? It's where it's really a random claw grabber. There's no skill involved. And I think they even did rock, paper, scissors, the Rochambeau machine. But we'll see if anything from a consumer standpoint comes from this. So.
Well, I wonder if they do the servicing for those too.
I would think so, yeah. It'd probably be pretty specific.
There might be a gap in servicing or something if they...
Well, yeah, that could be, right? And then we see the machines disappear because they're just not working anymore. But
right.
We don't know. All right, well, we got an email from our good friend Bill from Canada. He had some information on some foreign casinos, not Canadian casinos, but some from Australia and England. Let me go ahead and start reading his email. He said, in Australia, I visited Sydney, Melbourne, and the Gold Coast. There are 2 casinos in Sydney, the Star and the Crown. The Star Sydney is near Darling Harbour. It's a beautiful property with lots of slot machines. Table games include blackjack, roulette, baccarat, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, Mississippi Stud, and Sickbo. All blackjack tables are 3-2, but some hit soft 17. I was told that there was craps upstairs, but you had to be a higher tier level to gain access. And they were not accepting new signups. Something to do with licensing? That sounds strange. The property is beautiful, though, and I highly suggest if you are there to take a sunrise tour of the building. It's free.
Interesting that craps is some kind of elite thing that you have to be a member of.
Certainly different from Nevada, where, gaming has to be available to everyone.
Everybody,
right? You're even if you're just watching, it's supposed to be kind of a public thing. Anyway, it's interesting. You have to be a certain tier level to go up and play craps. And, craps is not a big game in Australia. I wonder why that would be.
Yeah, that's odd. They probably told him that because he looked foreign.
He looked foreign. A Canadian in Australia looked foreign, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he looked forward, and they just, well, we have craps. It's upstairs. You can't go in there.
Now, you lived in Australia for a little bit.
Yes.
Did the kids ever, when you were a kid, but did the kids ever look at you like, oh, he's foreign? I mean, obviously,
every day.
Well, when you opened your mouth, obviously they knew you were American, but just looking at you.
As soon as when I walked in a room and said hello, they all laughed because I said hello. It was a big deal, Mark.
Yeah.
Hello. What's wrong with that guy? Oh, and they all wanted to talk about surfing in California.
Yeah. I got that a lot.
Like
that.
That.
When I was in high school, I was on the speech team, and we had a tournament in Alabama. And that was the first thing when I told them I was from San Diego. Oh, do you surf? Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, same here. They're all like, oh, so surfing. I don't know. I don't surf.
All right.
But they can tell. We Americans, we have a swagger to us.
All right, going on with Bill's email. The Crown Melbourne is more crowded, lots of slot machines, the usual assortment of table games, but no craps. The Star in Gold Coast is my favorite because it has craps Thursdays through Sundays starting in the afternoon. Australia pays 16-1 and 33-1 on center table bets, 5.5-1 on any craps, Hardways 9.5 on the 6 and 8, and 7.5 on the 4 and 10, but just double on the 2 and 12 in the field. Do you think those payouts would ever make their way to the United States, Mike?
No.
I don't think so either. It's great that they do it, though. It's a little better. I mean, those bets are bad to begin with, so at least they're making them a little bit better.
Well, it'd be weird, right? They'd have to have 50-cent pieces, I guess.
That's true. And we'll get to a point here where he does talk about London. They do have special chips for that. Buy bets VIG has to be paid before, and they offer place to lose bets, which are very uncommon anywhere around the world. And free odds are 3, 4, 5, and there is a big 6 and 8. I don't know that we've ever talked about place to lose bets. Yeah, because they're very uncommon. I don't think there are any places in the United States that offer them.
Place to lose.
Yeah, they're basically like lay bets. You're betting that a 7 will come up before the number, but it's not a lay where you're paying VIG. So, for example, a place to lose on the 6 and 8 pays 4 to 5, meaning you risk 5 to win 4, right? You bet $5. If a 7 comes up before a 6, say, you get your $5 back, obviously, plus $4.
Plus
right?
4,
So it pays a little bit less. And the house edge on that for the 6 and 8 is 1.82%. If you place to lose on the 5 and 9, it pays 5 to 8. So you bet 8 to win 5. That has a 2.5% house edge. And then place to lose on the 4 or 10, you bet 11 to win 5, pays 5 to 11. And the house edge on that is 3.03%. Now, depending on the lay bet rules at a casino where you're at, for example, do you pay the VIG up front or only on win bets, and how much are you allowed to bet for, say, $1 VIG? Place to lose bets might be better house edge wise. But it's really going to depend. I'm not going to go into any more numbers because, again, place to lose bets, you just don't see them anywhere. But those are the payouts, if you were to see them.
I wonder if they have lay bets there then.
That's a good question, right? Yeah, they've got the place to lose, so do they allow lay bets?
You'd think it'd be one or the other because otherwise it's very confusing. Well, was that a lay bet or was that a place to lose bet?
Right. I'm sure they have lammers if they did have both because, on the right side, They do have place bets and buy bets, and that's why they have the buy lammers, right, to distinguish them. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't want to spend too much time on it again, though, because it's so rare.
They may have both, because craps dealers don't have a lot to do.
That's right.
It's not like they're doing a lot. They're just standing there dealing the game.
You idiot! That was a place to lose, not a lay bet. All right, finishing up Bill's email. I stopped by London on the way home, popped into the Hippodrome casino to visit the famous Lola's Underground. The Hippodrome is actually a converted theater, so the gaming space is very crowded. Minimums are very high, and sadly, the craps table is no longer at Lola's, and instead is at the very top of the casino, which involved climbing 3 flights of stairs and a very flimsy spiral staircase to the 4th floor.
Oh, my God.
Table minimums are £25. Otherwise, it plays very similarly to Australia. No buy bets. There are 50-cent chips on the table to pay out properly. Dealers are very quick, but the chip colors are all different, so watch out for that. So thank you, Bill, for those reports. Yeah, we've heard, again, that in London, the payouts, are very similar, like on the hard way, 7.5 to 1, 9.5 to 1, that kind of thing.
Well, thank God we live in America, Mark. I mean, in Australia, you have to have some kind of elite status to play craps.
Yeah.
And in England, you've got to climb up rickety stairs and risk your life. You have to be super physically fit to play craps.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
We don't qualify on either.
You wouldn't survive a second at the Hippodrome.
No, I'd be barred.
All right. Well, good. We appreciate that. And again, if anybody else has some interesting information about some of the foreign casinos and how the rules might be different, be sure to let us know.
They got to standardize that.
Standardize all the payouts and everything. You think there should be
everywhere? The world gambling should all be the same everywhere. In
World
the world.
Gambling Association.
Yeah, World Gambling Association. Maybe
that's what we need.
Maybe when Dr. Evil takes over the world, he'll make that.
That's what we need. Another authority organization to tell us what we're doing wrong,
to govern us.
Yeah. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first. You can bet on that.com and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to voicemails. First up is Dick.
Good morning, Mark and Dr. Mike. My name's Dick from Birmingham, Alabama, and I wanted to let you know about my recent trip to Las Vegas. Wife and I went just before Christmas, stayed at the Palazzo, which is where we always stay. And my wife, the last 6 or 7 times, has been walking around with the L posted on her forehead. But I keep telling her it's her time, it's her time. She's strictly a video poker girl. So she had $350 in free credits. We go down to the DeLuca bar, and we're sitting there getting our trip started, and within 10 minutes, bam, she hits on a dollar machine, the Royal Flush, which she's thrilled. I'm thrilled because I don't have to bankroll her, and we're off to a great start. So over the next 4 days, she manages to go into the high limit area, and she's playing a $5 poker machine, and she had 7 more hand pays, one of which she hit 4 twos with an ace kicker on a $5 machine. So that's 4,000 credits times 5. She wins 20 grand. I had already gone to bed. It was about 12:30 in the morning. She couldn't get me, runs up and jumps in bed. And of course, we're all very happy. I want to thank you for what I've learned from you all. I did not know about the tipping of the dealers. I'm mostly a blackjack player, but you all have convinced me into going back to craps. I played a lot of craps, and I always put a quarter on the hard ways and take the dealers along with me for $10. And this time I managed to get several parlays, and the dealers hit $450. And it's amazing how that changes their attitude and how you're their friend. And every time you walk by the table, they're all hollering at you, hey, hello, hello. So that was certainly a lot of fun. But my friend turned me on to you less than a year ago. I probably listened to 90% of all of your episodes. Keep up the great work, and thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Dick. Yeah, there's a good argument. If you're in favor of tipping, you're going to put the dealers in a good mood. They're going to maybe perk up when normally they wouldn't. And again, is that right? Is that wrong? We can have a discussion about that, but it's the truth. So,
yeah. One thing too, and when Dick was saying this, I thought of this. Look how good it made him feel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You do. Right? That's a good point.
I mean, he's happy that the dealers are acknowledging him and talking to him and puts him in a better mood.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the points you were trying to make on the last episode is that, you can get a lot of satisfaction yourself when you tip and they win, especially, you kind of feel good about yourself. So
it's that way in everything. If someone else feels good, you feel a little better. It kind of makes, your life a little smoother.
And congratulations to your wife for hitting the Royal and then deciding, hey, I better go into the high limit room now and hitting some big hands there.
Well, she was due, Mark.
Yeah, she was due, just like I'm due. Yeah. And just like you'll never be due because
I'll never be due. Yeah. No, my time is past.
All right, next call.
Hey, guys, this is Chris from Connecticut. I wanted to say that I've been listening to your podcast for about a year now. And even though I've never met either of you, it seems like we've been brothers or buddies since middle school. You just have a great rapport with each other and really make it fun for the listeners to listen to your podcast every week. Recently, I went back all the way to episode 1 to listen, and I found it interesting how the first couple episodes were really rough, and they just got better by episode 3 or 4, and they've been awesome ever since. Back around episode 30 or 40, you were talking about a $500 chip that was found on the ground. I've got a little bit of a story for you, too, with some chips that were found. I was at the Mohegan Sun about a year ago, walking back to my room at about 1, 2 in the morning, and directly across the hall from my hotel room was one of those scooters you can rent. And if you're familiar with those, they have little wire baskets in the front that people put their belongings in. And as I was putting the key up to my door to go in, I noticed there was something in the front of the basket. So I look over a little closer, and it's chips. There must have been about 15 or 20 chips, but there were several $100 chips. There were several $1,000 chips, and there were at least 2 $5,000 chips just sitting out in the open in the basket. So I went into my room, and I thought, do I go back? Do I take them? Do I leave them? What could happen? There's cameras. Am I going to be on an episode of Cops and the police bust out of the room next door doing a sting? So I sat there and thought, and I guess I made a good decision, and I decided not to touch them or not to take them. But I was just wondering what you or the listeners would think about doing in that situation. It's not something you're going to come across very often. But I will say if I found a $500 chip on the ground, I definitely would pick it up. But this is different, and I was just shocked to see that amount of chips. It must have fallen out of somebody's purse or wallet or something that was in the front of that scooter. But there it was, at least $15,000, $20,000 in chips just sitting there. The next morning I got up, the cart was gone, the chips were gone, and I just wonder if the guy found out or someone else took them. Great job with the podcast. Look forward to hearing the next episode.
All right. Well, first, congratulations, Chris, for making the right decision here and not taking the chips. Yeah, this is a little bit different than just finding a random chip in the middle of the casino floor, because there's a very good chance that these chips belong to whoever had rented the scooter. Yeah, it is possible that somebody walked by and accidentally dropped the chips into the basket, but it's more likely that they belong to the person who rented the scooter.
I think Chris passed the test. Whatever it was, that somebody was giving him a test. Do I take those or not? And I think he made the very best decision.
Yeah, we would not have taken those chips. Chris didn't really mention if the scooter was in front of another hotel room door. I kind of assumed it was because he said it was, across from his door. But I'm guessing that, who was ever in the scooter, maybe they were drunk or whatever and kind of stumbled in and forgot the chips were there. Yeah, this is definitely different than just finding a chip in the middle of the carpet at the casino. However, we do want to emphasize that in most jurisdictions, certainly in the United States, even if you just find a chip lying out in the middle of the casino, not near a table, not near anybody who's walked by, it would still technically be illegal for you to pick up the chip and take it. At least that's what we have been told, is that if you do come across a situation like that, either leave the chip alone or take it to security or, give it to one of the pit or something like that. That's what we've been told.
Well, I always live by the rule, if it's too good to be true, it's probably not true, right? That's just too good to be true. You find all that money. I mean, you take it, the camera in the hallway is going to pinpoint you.
Yeah.
And they're going to come and say, why'd you take this money? Why didn't you call security?
Yeah. If you're not as worried about the ethics of it so much as what might happen to you, just think, okay, yeah, maybe it's a sting. They do that every week, right? They throw $1,000 chip in the middle. They see who picks it up and, doesn't take it to security.
Well, I just pick up the chip and run down the casino and yell, who lost a $5,000 chip?
Yeah.
Whose is this?
And then when, somebody comes up, okay, I don't see your name on it, and just kind of taunt him and then walk away with it.
Can you describe it?
Anyway, the point that I do want to make after all this, I'm repeating myself here, but just because you find a chip doesn't mean that it's even legal to just pick it up and take it. So you just be careful.
Well, it's just like money on the freeway, right?
Money on the freeway.
Yeah. Remember when that truck in San Diego, a Brinks truck or something, had some problem and all the money was all over the freeway?
Yeah.
And people were picking it up?
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't legal. And the people that they could identify on video and stuff, they, were contacted to give the money back.
Well, and in that situation, you knew that the money came from that Brinks vehicle.
Right.
So you've got a little more information than just finding a chip in the middle of the casino.
But people are running around. I thought that was so funny on the freeway.
It's money, baby.
I guess.
All right. Next call.
Hey guys, I was just listening to the last episode. Oh, this is Bill from now in San Diego. And wanted to let you guys know, even though it's not a Royal Flush in Video Poker, I did hit a Royal Flush in Ultimate Texas Hold'em at Circa a few weeks ago, only holding one card, and ended up getting 2 on the flop and then the turn and river. Hit for $25K minus tax of 6, brought it down to 19. The only reason that I bring this up is because later in the episode, I heard you guys talking again about the tipping thing, and I think I'm definitely in the Dr. Mike camp. I tipped the dealers $2,000, and I actually gave each of the 3 players at the table $500 each. Couple of things. It's like a butterfly effect, because if everybody puts, all of these things make the cards go into the machine a certain way, and it comes out a certain way. And one of the players had just come back from the bathroom, so everything affects everything. So, and I was having fun with the players there. But in terms of just tipping in general, for me, tipping doesn't have to be a transactional thing. I don't tip in order to get something in return, whether it's immediate or down the line. I think it's more of a sense of giving. So much like Dr. Mike iterated in the previous podcast. But anyway, just want to let you know there was another Royal hit out there, and it wasn't yours, but it'll come hopefully soon. Thanks.
All right, good story.
All right, Bill's my hero. Bill's the man. Not only did he hit a Royal, but he tipped well.
Yeah, and I like what he was saying about how what other players did affected what he got. That's why a lot of times at poker rooms, when there's a bad beat jackpot, some money goes to everybody at the table. So the person who got beat gets the most. The person who wins the hand gets the second most. But then everybody else at the table also gets some because they were sitting there for the hand. It would have been dealt differently. So, that's their rationale. Is that okay?
Right.
Spread it around.
If they had changed the way they play or something, it could have affected the game.
Right.
If they got up and gone to the bathroom.
Right. Exactly.
Like he said, that affects the game.
Yeah. So, Bill was basically taking that philosophy and, applying it to tipping. So, yeah, good job, Bill.
Yep.
All right. Last call.
Hey guys, it's Scott from Florida. I have a trip report from our Carnival Cruise last week. Cruise ships are notorious for being terrible, and this was no exception. The blackjack tables had a $6 minimum and pay 6 to 5 on a blackjack. So if you bet $6, which a lot of people were, you paid 7 to 6 on blackjack.
Yeah.
They did have one craps table with a $5 minimum, and we were on a great run. The shooter had gotten all the tall numbers and all but the 2 on the small, and had several pass line winners, and hit the 12 3 times and the 3 2 times. She would carefully turn the dice to the hard 6 and form the dots in the shape of a V, but then pick them up and shake them in her hand before throwing them. So that didn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. Our cruise also stopped in Bimini in the Bahamas, and they had a nice little Resorts World casino with a Hilton hotel. It didn't open until 12 p.m., so I only had an hour or so to play, and the craps tables weren't open. But I made up a little of my cruise losses at the baccarat table. Bimini is only 50 miles from Miami, and I was told you could make a day trip to Bimini in a boat from Miami. Anyways, it was a fun trip, and even though I lost a little money, had a great time.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, I looked into it when I heard this call. There's this high-speed ferry that gets you from Miami to Bimini in 2 hours. So, yeah, you could make a day trip of it, or they've got packages, where you can stay over. So, yeah, people living down there in Miami, maybe make a quick little trip there. You can play some real craps instead of the non-craps that they have in Florida right now.
Florida, right. So what is a high-speed ferry?
I saw a picture of the boat. I mean, look it up. A high-speed ferry from Miami to Bimini, and you'll see it kind of looks like just a big speedboat. I guess.
Okay. Yeah, like a luxury yacht or something that can go fast.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering, because I'm like a ferry, like in New York, you get on the ferry or something. They're not going very fast.
Oh, no. Most ferries I've been on are some of the slowest vessels I've ever been on.
I can swim faster there.
Well, he's talking about these $6 minimum tables, and that is particularly funny when blackjacks pay $6 to $5. Now, I don't know if this was the case, but a lot of times when you see those weird minimums, what they'll do is they'll let you bet $5 on the blackjack hand and then $1 on a side bet. So that's why they're making it a $6 minimum, right? They're kind of pressuring you into making that side bet.
That side bet.
Right. But yeah, if you're going to bet $6 just on blackjack, well, it makes that $6 to $5 payoff even worse because they round down and you end up getting paid $7 to $6. So beware. Gambler, beware.
Well, it's a cruise ship. They can kind of do their thing.
Where are you going to go? You're trapped.
Right, exactly.
You're going to try to hop onto another cruise ship that passes you. See if you can swim over there. I don't like the rules at this point.
You got better odds?
That's right. Then you get over there. It turns out it's just as bad. It's like, oh my gosh, now I'm soaking wet.
And the cruise is to like Haiti or somewhere. You're like, oh, yeah,
right. Your ID, you're not supposed to be on that cruise. Your ID, they put you in the brig. Oh gosh, that's bad news.
You know what? Bimini really should be a Disneyland type thing.
Why is that? Because of the name?
I don't know. It just sounds like Bimini Boppity Boo.
Oh, yeah. From Cinderella? Okay.
From Cinderella, yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah, they should have a Disneyland casino. Disney for adults.
A Disneyland casino. I don't think we'll live to see the day, Dr. Mike. I think they're, they basically own Florida. I think they're tolerating all the gambling going on there.
Think how much more business they'd have.
Oh, well, I'm not saying you're wrong.
If down the street they had a casino and they offered daycare for your kids and you could go to the casino, they'd make a ton of money.
Yeah, I agree with you, of course. All right, Dr. Mike, you are planning on coming here to San Diego, right?
Yes.
This coming week. And we plan on being at Harrah's, Southern California on Friday, February 17th. And
correct.
I'd like to get there as early as possible. I mean, I've got meetings in the morning, so it might not be till noon.
Okay.
But maybe we make a day of it. And if anybody wants to come and see us.
I'm fine with noon, yeah. I'm completely open.
Now, because of that trip, the next time we're scheduled to record, it's actually going to be the Sunday when you are flying back home to Minnesota.
I'll be flying all day.
So I don't know when we'll release the next episode, because it would be kind of nice to include whatever happens at Harrah's. So maybe we'll record after you get home for the trip. Maybe we'll record beforehand, when you're here and you can come over, so that we don't sort of miss our regular Monday dropping of the episode. But just FYI, folks, we're not exactly sure when the next episode will drop.
I think that's going to all depend on
we're not going to wait.
What's going on.
We're not going to wait too many days one way or the other, so don't worry about that. But it might not be exactly on that Monday.
Yeah, it might be Tuesday or something.
Yeah.
One other thing I was thinking just before we end this, I was looking at Twitter. There was a question asked of Chris from the Crap Vegas podcast about lay bets on crapless craps.
Yeah.
I never got a clarification on this really, but can you lay the outside numbers, the 2, the 3, the...
Well, I've been told that some crapless craps tables allow lay bets and some don't.
Okay.
So it's going to depend. In the cases where they allow them, sure, why not?
Yeah.
You just have to put up quite a bit of money, to bet against a 2 or a 12, something like that.
Yeah, I'd like to see a table like that.
Yeah.
If you think about that, it's like, immediate 7 outs, your best friend, right?
The most layouts, though, when you see crapless craps, don't even have an area for lay bets. The box numbers are just a big rectangle, and they're basically just for place bets and buy bets and come bets. I'm sure they could just put the bet behind the box, right? And that would clearly be a lay bet. But that's what I've been told, is that some crapless craps, no lay bets at all, no don't betting of any kind. Obviously, no don't pass, but no lay bets at all. But that some do accept them. So it's going to depend on the casino. That's my understanding. I don't know if Chris answered, and maybe they'll talk about it on their show.
Yeah, I didn't really hear an answer. I didn't see an answer, and maybe I didn't look enough either. But I was just wondering about that. It seems like crapless craps is kind of getting a following.
Yeah, we've kind of dumped on it because, again, pass line and come bets suddenly have these terrible house edges. I say terrible compared to what they are on a regular craps table, right? There are certainly worse bets on a regular craps table than the pass line and the come on a crapless craps table. But I think certainly the Crap Vegas guys, they like it because they can bet on those extreme numbers, 2, 3, 11, 12. And Patrick, our friend from Canada, he was saying that he felt he was getting rated better at a crapless craps table. So there are some benefits to them. Like we said, last time we were in Vegas, every casino, at least on the Strip, had at least one crapless craps table. Yep.
I know I can say I played on the original crapless craps table.
At Vegas World?
Bob Stupak's Vegas World.
Bob Stupak was the one who created them. Yes.
Yeah, we stayed there shortly after they had opened that. We were intrigued by it. I remember playing it a little bit and then thinking, I don't know. And then we went somewhere else and played.
Yeah, so Vegas World is now where Stratosphere is, or excuse me, the Strat is.
Yeah.
And Bob Stupak, who created Vegas World and basically spearheaded the concept behind Stratosphere, was the one who created crapless craps. I remember they also had double exposure blackjack there. Right, with the modified rules. He might have also created that.
Yeah.
And we did take advantage of one of his deals. Remember, he had these ads in Old Parade magazine where you put up like $298 and then he gave you back like $300 worth of chips and hotel room and food and everything. So,
right. It was a great deal.
It really was a good deal. That was one thing you could really take advantage of. And the thing was too, he would give you these chips and you could go and immediately cash them in at the cashier. You didn't have to play them at the table.
No.
So, it was
But
something.
he knew that you're coming there to gamble.
Yeah.
And he's giving you chips. I mean, most people are going to gamble, especially if you're staying there in your room, right?
Yep. And he was quite a character, too.
He was quite a character.
I want to say he made the first $1 million bet on the Super Bowl ever. I'm not sure, but that in my memory, I'm thinking that's the case.
Well, he was known for doing crazy stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, we get these donations from people. We sure appreciate them. And I always make a point to thank people for it. Unfortunately, if the donation comes in a form other than, say, PayPal or Venmo or something like that, often I forget to thank people during the podcast. And I want to do so now. Certainly
That's just a function of age.
Yeah.
That's our age.
Okay, I'll blame it on that then.
It's true.
But for example, sometimes we get people who say, hey, I'm going to give you a free entry into a pool that I'm putting together. A football pool or baseball pool or things like that. So this has happened recently. We want to thank Michael James for giving us a free entry into his football pool. It was kind of a fantasy football for the postseason where I actually had you do this, Mike. You picked certain players from different teams, different positions and that kind of thing. And
can only pick one player from one team.
Right. And if they advance, far enough all the way to the Super Bowl and beyond, then you win that pool. So Michael James, want to thank you for that. Also, listener Ryan, he entered us into 3 of his 100 square Super Bowl pools coming up here. So we want to thank Ryan for that. Also, the Red Eye Gamblers, the guys who do the 99% Craps podcast, this was a while back when we had our 10th anniversary. This was really nice. We got a nice letter from them, and they also sent me a pair of fuzzy dice and the book 40 Years a Gambler on the Mississippi by George Duvall, possibly related to me, a book I've heard about many times but never actually read. And they sent that, and I thought, I didn't even thank them on the show, and so I'm doing that now. And I want to thank everybody else who we forget. It's usually, again, when we see you, oh, here's a couple of chips, or I got you some chips from this other casino here, or oh, I found these funny dice, I think you like them. So often I just forget to write that down. So thank you to listeners who have done that for us also in the past. All right. Having said that, that is the end of this episode. And we want to thank some people for some recurring donations. Jeremy at the Color Up YouTube channel, James, and Kurt. Thank you very much for those recurring donations. We also got a donation from Andrew. Karma donation for a trip this weekend to Vegas for my bachelor party. Staying 4 nights at Caesars and hoping to find some cheap tables to teach a few of the guys how to play craps. Love the show. Well, good luck, Andrew. You might be there still right now. We're recording this on Sunday. But in any case, hopefully you had a lucky trip. We also got a donation from our good friend John B. Headed to Vegas through February 4th. Hoping to cross paths with the Vegas craps guys. And who knows what else. Here's hoping a karma donation leads to good sessions. We also got a donation from Allison and Chris. We're excited to play with you guys on February 17th at Harrah's SoCal. See you guys in a few weeks. Oh, excellent. We will see you very soon, Allison and Chris. And finally, a donation from Bill, who sent us that email earlier in the episode. A karma donation for an upcoming Vegas trip February 6th through the 9th. Hoping for the chance to press bets up to the table max, even if it's the $300 limit at Ellis Island. Thanks for the show and keep up the great work. Well, thank you very much, Bill. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. And that's not just a list of movies that are coming up on TV. That's every single gambling-related movie ever made. Or pretty close, anyway. I'm adding movies all the time.
That's a bold statement.
Well, yeah, you know me. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review of the show. We love getting your feedback. Well, Dr. Mike, I'm guessing that you still hate football based on the teams that are going to the Super Bowl.
Yes, I do. God. My sister texted me earlier today and said that, they're going to this Super Bowl party. Somebody that her husband does work for, big financial company, and they're having this huge party and all this and that. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, so what? I don't go there and eat as much as you can, drink as much as you can, but who cares about that game? Really? People in Kansas City, people in Philadelphia, big deal.
Yeah.
I just can't get up for that.
Yeah, I think you're right. We're getting together with my family and, we're going to have a lot of food. It's going to be mostly about the food and the commercials, I think, for us.
Yeah. Food and commercials.
Yeah.
And maybe a nap.
Yeah.
Halftime
That's
show.
right. Right after the halftime show, the third quarter starts. You're awake for like the first minute and then you fall asleep.
Yeah, exactly. You wake up later and get up, go to bed.
All right.
It's a perfect day.
So that's football. You got anything else, though, for us, Dr. Mike?
I do. I have an update on the gambling here in our little tiny town.
Oh.
So what it was they were putting some tables in a back room to play cards.
And this was at this cafe. It's like a kind of a little diner type place. Uh-huh.
Yeah, right. So it wasn't like slot machines or craps or anything like that. It was just cards.
Just cards.
Card room.
Like bridge and like pinochle? I mean, what?
No, like poker.
Like poker. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's still not
for money. And I don't know if they had other games because you can play any other game for money too.
Well, that's still not legal. I mean, depending on, are they taking rake or even if they're not, I'd be very careful about that.
I don't know the specifics of that.
Okay.
But it got closed down, I guess, fairly quickly.
Okay.
But now the rumor is that they're trying to get a license to open up a card room here.
Interesting. At the same location or a different location?
Well, the same people, but it's like across the street.
Oh, okay.
In its own building or something. This is a rumor.
Yeah.
But there is some building going on over there, so I don't know. It'd be fun, though, if they had legal card room where you go and play, poker or something. I think it'd do great. They'd make a ton of money.
Would they, even in your small town?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe from you. You're thinking how much time you'd spend.
No, I think a lot of people, like to play cards. That's a big thing back here on a cold day. You go and play some cards.
Yeah. All right.
Well, but that's the update from that. Right. And also, I wanted to say, getting back to football here, I was watching the playoffs, the championship games the other day, and I was thinking to myself, all these football pools and all the fantasy football and everything, they don't give many points for defense. It's all about offense.
Yeah, that's just because defense isn't as sexy as offense, right? That's what it comes down to. It's, you're right. It's not fair, but it's not surprising either.
I mean, I don't do a lot of that, so it doesn't really bother me. But I was just thinking, because defense is what wins championships.
All right.
I mean, points are great, and it's fun to score a lot. You want to win a Super Bowl, you want to win championships, you got to have a good defense.
All right, sir.
And I think, me personally, that somebody making an interception as another team's driving or causing a fumble and recovering it when another team's driving is super important to a game. I mean, that can literally turn a whole game around, right?
For sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They don't score, you score, things go crazy. I mean, I just think in all these things, like an interception is 1 point, a touchdown 6. I'm almost thinking it should be like 3 and 3. I mean, an interception may be as good as a touchdown.
Okay, so you're soapboxing. You're basically saying defense should get more attention. It should get you more in gambling, whether it's fantasy or just, betting on plays, that kind of thing. All right, so that's what you're getting at. So as football fans, what should we do?
We should come up with a new fantasy type football scenario where it's more evenly balanced.
Okay. Are you going to spearhead that along with the T-shirts and being NFL commissioner and all those things?
Gosh, I can fit that in my schedule. I just checked.
Okay, good.
I'm good.
Thanks. All right,
I'll
good.
fit that in my schedule.
We'll look forward to that.
But all fantasy things, even fantasy baseball, there's nothing for defense.
Well, is pitching defense, right? There's certainly things for pitching. Well, what I'm saying is that, okay, there's maybe not a lot for defense, but there's certainly a lot for pitching, which is defense.
Which is defense, I guess.
Right.
But, there's nothing for throwing a runner out or, making a great play. I guess those are kind of more subjective. But any fantasy league, even the bowling fantasy leagues should have defense involved.
But you have bowling defense. Well, but you are right about baseball because baseball is so heavily driven by statistics. Well, that's not really what I mean to say, but the game lends itself to statistics. So, like math nerds like me, that's one of the reasons I love the game. But you're right. The defensive side of the game, there aren't as many statistics, right? Throwing runners out or other than errors, your error to non-error ratio.
If you do something bad, but you do something good on defense, it's not really
that's a good
taken into account. Yeah. Well, anyway, I was just thinking about that. I feel bad for all the defensive players in the world.
Don't feel bad for them, Dr. Mike, all right? I'm going to go out on a limb and say you've made your point, but don't feel bad for the players, all right?
Just something to think about this week, Mark. Yep. And I'm very anxious to come to San Diego, see everybody.
Yep. Hopefully we'll see you all on the 17th, Friday, Harrah's, Southern California.
Oh, and get this. I got a voucher from Hamul for $600 in free play.
Really? Well, then you're going to have to hit Hamul.
It said, we haven't seen you in a while. $600 for that week that I'm there. I assume it's all at once.
Yeah, all right. I'll go with you.
Yeah, we might run out there. All right, very good.
Yep, thanks for listening.
Take care.
Did you guys see me? I was on fire tonight. Man, I can't wait to get back to the shore. God, I love gambling!